Well, hello. Thanks for taking a few minutes here to learn about a really exciting opportunity that is coming up in May of 2024, a trip to Mexico, a pilgrimage with my friend, Dr. Ezekiel Stear,
Hello.
a professor at Auburn University, who has been doing similar type pilgrimages in a secular university context, but we're adapting to be able to create an opportunity to really bring the full beauty of our Catholic faith and the Catholic history of Latin America into the minds and hearts of those who would participate. So very happy to sit down with you, Zeke, and talk a little bit about this.
Thank you for having me, Father Blaha. Yes, I teach Spanish literature, and my research is in the colonial period with an emphasis on indigenous textual production. So I have done trips before, educational trips in Mexico and also in Peru. And I'm excited to go on this one, on Retiro, Herencias de la Fe, because we'll be able to bring a fullness to it, like you say. And I can describe a lot of historical things that we don't often get a chance to study or look at. And the culmination at the Basilica will really bring in the fullness of the history there.
Well, it's very exciting to me as a pastor of a Hispanic parish or Hispanic parishes and with a school with a large Hispanic population. When you have sort of talked, you and I have talked about some of this history and the things that you study and teach, it really struck a chord with me because what you describe is this beautiful flowering between these cultures of the indigenous culture and the ways in which they were religiously prepared in many ways to receive the message of Our Lady of Guadalupe and the message of Christianity, and the way that that created, in the best circumstances, this flowering of culture and learning and the universal human values that touch every time and place, including our own. So I'm very interested in that, and obviously having something like a trip where we can have both opportunities to learn and to study, and also have a spiritual component, as well as being just a really beautiful part of the world.
Yes, I'm very excited. We start in Teotihuacan, and we get to see the architectural wonders that the civilization there built, and also get a real sense of how seriously they took their beliefs and their rituals. I know one of the highlights there will be the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, who is an important deity, among many things, dealing with time and change. And then our next stop is to go to Cholula. Cholula is fantastic because the pyramid there is a large earthen mound. It's the largest pyramid in Mesoamerica because they took a hill and they made the hill into a pyramid. On the inside of it, there are tunnels where they did their rituals. And on the very top of it is a parish called Nuestra Señora de los Remedios. And it's a Catholic church that the Spanish built right on top there. And so you get to see that. And it's a fantastic setting with great views. In the background is the giant volcano Popocatépetl. It's the picture there in our Facebook group for this. So that's very inspiring. And we're also going to see great museums on the Baroque period in Puebla. And of course, everything culminates with a trip there to the Basilica. And I think it's going to be a fantastic time. Lots of great conversations, I anticipate.
Conversations in both English and Spanish. This is a bilingual trip.
This is a bilingual trip, yes, because we both have that ability. Of course, that's my trade. That's what I do. I teach Spanish, so I'm very excited always, and I love Mexico. I've been able to spend a significant amount of time there, and every time I go, I learn more and more. It's fantastic, and really puts us in touch with the roots of Catholicism in the Americas.
And just as an indication of how much I need to learn, I thought Cholula was something you put on your eggs. You know, I have a lot of growth and a lot of learning to do, which I'm excited about in the context of this trip. So, tell us more about some of the details. Obviously, we're going to have a registration process that we'll be publishing in the Facebook group and in the YouTube video here, the notes. But we want to make this as reasonable as possible per person, so as to especially be able to bring families. My hope in creating this trip, and what I think originally got us talking, was recognizing a gap in the culture between parents who had been perhaps raised in the Latin American culture, and then raising their families here in the United States, and trying to bring them into a common sense of heritage that allows them now in the United States, possibly for the rest of their lives, to continue to hand that culture on, hand that faith on, which is really my job as a priest, to help families do that.
Yes.
What will be some of the practical details of the trip? Things like weather, accommodations. What would be a typical day on a trip like this?
Well, a typical day will start off with breakfast in the morning, and over breakfast, we'll have a sort of an orientation talk for the day, explaining the things that we're going to go see, and what their meaning was in an ancestral sense before the Spaniards came, and then what the kind of meaning that started to come to fulfillment when the Spaniards came. And so after that, we'll go out and we'll go on our tours in different places. First day, Teotihuacan, then we go to Cholula and Puebla, and then the last full day will be the Basilica. And we're usually done touring at around 2 or 3. So then we have La Comida, and we have a lineup of very nice restaurants that we're going to go to, and that should be very enjoyable too. We've booked 4-star hotels, and each one of those hotels has a restaurant in the lobby. So if travelers are ever looking for something, looking for a meal, it's right there. But otherwise, of course, there's free time after La Comida every day to go out, explore, see things. And I think it's just going to be fascinating. It's the kind of environment where we're going to have lots of input, lots of great experiences, and then time to talk about it, time to digest it too. So we're not just hurrying from one thing to another. There will be some time for reflection in a retreat-like manner.
And of course, with a priest along, we've got Mass and the Eucharist and confession, whatever else would be needed. Where I didn't realize how high the central part of Mexico is. So we're at high altitude, and though we are staying at these beautiful hotels, we're doing a lot of walking, sometimes climbing. So we're going to need to be active and be capable of getting around a few miles a day on foot. The weather, I'm assuming, will be mild and sunny.
Yes, we'll be before the rains start. So, and if there is any rain, it'll just be in the afternoon. But I think we're going to have very mild weather. The altitude is about equivalent to Denver, Colorado. So that's something to keep in mind. And we will have to do walking on every day. The most walking we'll do is at Teotihuacan, just because of the size of the archaeological site, and also the opportunity to climb the pyramid if you so desire, the Pyramid of the Sun.
Yeah, I desire.
Oh, yes.
What about safety? Is it safe to travel in Mexico, in these parts of Mexico?
Yes. In the states where we're going, because they have so many visitors in these sites, they tend to be very safe. Right now, the Department of Homeland Security has the states where we're going, Puebla, Hidalgo, Mexico City, are level 2. Level 2 is the equivalent of being in a large city in the US. So you might be extra cautious, say in Chicago or Miami or LA. You might not go out at night alone, that sort of caution. But otherwise, if we're all in a group, we should not have any incident.
That's reassuring to know. I also wanted to discuss some of the practical things about costs. We have to secure our spots and so forth. So we're going to set a registration date, and a deposit will be necessary. Right now, we're looking at about $1,800 per person, which does not include airfare. That could vary depending on our final quote. But the beauty of that is that if people want to stay longer or extend their trip or come early in whatever way, they're certainly welcome to. But that price includes all of our travel and accommodation once the trip starts and all the way till the end until we conclude, correct? With the exception of a few meals a day and any shopping that we want to do.
Exactly. Well, breakfast and la comida are included.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically if someone wanted to eat later on, dinner would not be included, but
Snacks.
as we know, la comida is the big meal of the day anyway. That's the hit. So and then of course the transportation is included, and we will be in comfortable vans, and that's all going to be good. Basically like door-to-door service for what we need. So that's going to be pretty streamlined right there.
Well, I think the fact that you've run so many of these trips before and you've got some experience under your belt, that'll be great, that you know how to set these things up, which will take a lot of preparation beforehand, but we'll be able to enjoy it at the time. One of the other things I think is, certainly with that cost, I mean, if we're talking a family of 3 and they're sharing a room, we can eliminate some of those costs as well. And here at Blessed Sacrament, Christ the King, my parishes, we certainly want to do some fundraising for this trip to make it a reasonable cost for families. One other thing that we had discussed and that I'd like to mention here is the possibility of a VIP extension to the trip. So
yes,
having a chance to stay an extra day and visit another site. Tell us about that site.
Yes, the VIP extension, the VIP add-on includes a trip to Tlatelolco, and Tlatelolco is just north of downtown Mexico City. Back before the Spaniards arrived, they were actually 2 islands. There was the island of Tenochtitlan, which is downtown Mexico City, and then the island of Tlatelolco. Well, the Franciscans decided that on the island of Tlatelolco, they would build a special school for the training of indigenous nobles in order to work as bureaucrats, but also with the idea that they could enter the ministry. Now, while that dream of having indigenous priests did not come true in the 16th century, didn't come true for the first 100 years, they did graduate several students from there, and the institution flourished for about 40 years. And a lot of their graduates went on to hold positions in the colonial government. And one of them was actually the governor of Mexico City for about 18 years. So there's a lot of amazing history there. They trained these indigenous scholars in Latin and Spanish and to write in their language of Nahuatl. And so there they also produced amazing texts. One is called the Florentine Codex. It's our largest single source on the Aztec culture. And the Franciscans and these indigenous scholars made it together at this place where we can go see with the add-on. And some of the valuable information in that codex are indigenous plant cures. And these plant cures, these natural remedies, were so effective that the King of Spain, Philip II, actually sent his personal medic to the Americas to learn about these, because it was more advanced than the medicine they had in Spain at the time. So this is a tremendous contribution that the Aztecs made, and we can take a look at that and also see the church there of the Franciscans built out of volcanic rock. And that's an amazing sight. And even at that parish, they're very conscious of all the history that's there and how important it is.
All these things are completely new to me, and I'm sure they will be to many of the folks who join us. So we have a lot of information to share. I want to be able to just refer you to our Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, please join that. We'd love to get more information to you through that. Check out Dr. Stear's site, Forgotten Lives of Latin America. We'll provide the link to that as well. He's got some great testimonials of other people who have gone on these trips with him under his leadership and guidance, and some of the positive things that they have to say, I think, are really great as well. Anything I'm missing?
I think those are the highlights. I'm just very excited for families to go and for us to get a chance to look at these aspects that in public schools in Mexico, they don't cover these things very often. And certainly in public schools in the US, they're going to cover these things. So a lot of times we miss out. And I guess I've been blessed to be able to study some of these things. And it's very exciting to share them all, because you see that really there's an amazing Catholic civilization there, and it continues to influence the Americas today. Think about all the influence that Mexico has had in our lives and in the US Southwest and everywhere in the world. And really the heart of it is that the bedrock is sort of that meeting of the indigenous and the Catholic culture. So that's what we're really going to look at a little bit more closely.
Well, I can't wait. I haven't been excited about something like this in a long time. So thank you, Zeke, Dr. Stear, and those of you watching. We're really excited to be able to share more. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you. God bless you. We look forward to welcoming you on this wonderful pilgrimage.